Good morning, everyone. In one of my classes at Mount, which is a community college, I thought I'd put up a brief introductory note about who I am and what my class expectations are, because they're pretty much universal, whether you're in family law, business law, American government and political science, history of the Constitution, U.S. History 1, U.S. History 2. I can't remember all the classes that I might be teaching at any given point, but you get the drift. This is going to be a universal introductory hello and introduction to who I am and what the course expectations are and how to be successful in the course. Um, First of all, some of you I notice I always look through the rosters and I see some of your names in multiple courses. Don't watch this twice. It's going to nauseate you one time. Never mind watching it 3 or 4 times. So it's just a quick introduction, hopefully to make you feel some kind of um, connection between you and I during the course of the semester. It's even difficult to get that kind of um, relationship where we feel a certain degree of academic comfort and support, even in a traditional classroom. But it's obviously much more challenging in an online environment. Some of you taking classes with me in a traditional brick and mortar class, and some of you taking classes with me in an online environment, so you have some degree of comfort with that. That's great. This is for everybody else. So again, my name is Jim Korman. I've been teaching at the Mount now this is my 19th year. I am the department chair of legal studies, political science, and history at the Mount. I live in Brimfield, Mass. I recently lived in Sturbridge, Mass. I just one town over. Um, my wife and I have 7 kids. We have 7 kids. They're not all. It's a blended family. I have 4 mine, and my wife has 3. They range in age from 25 to 16. 3 are still at home, and the other 4 are either in college or independent and out in their own working. I grew up in Springfield, Massachusetts, and I'm going to focus on one thing in this introduction, and that's my experience as a community college student out in Springfield Technical Community College. Other than that, I'm a practicing attorney, and you'll see that in the syllabus. I have a JD, a Juris Doctorate, and I'm a member of the Massachusetts Bar. I've been a lawyer now for my 29th year as a lawyer, and I still practice. I'm mostly in Worcester County, but I'll practice anywhere within the state of Massachusetts, primarily with criminal defense work. And you don't need to know why I'm attracted to that, but it's mostly because the cases have a shelf life that are sort of very predictable. The case starts, goes through a process, it ends, and it doesn't linger necessarily forever the way some of you are in family law, for example. Family law cases can last for decades. And same with torts and other areas of law that I think, can get really stuck in a quagmire. Criminal, to me, is much more, not simple, but it's much more where I can see the light at the end of the tunnel in terms of cases beginning and resolution and the methods by which we can resolve those cases. Other than that, I don't want to get too detailed about, my private life or anything like that, but that's basically it. Hobbies, I probably have 1,000 hobbies that I ebb and flow with over my course of my lifetime. One that's obvious is right behind me. I collect political memorabilia. Those are all political buttons. I collect them from, doesn't matter who they are. I don't care what party or anything like that. I just find them interesting and related to history a great deal. Probably because my grandfather collected them initially and my father collected them after him. And so the legacy sort of carries on. So that's probably the most active hobby I have. I like to say I do a lot of physical activity, but I don't. But I try sometimes. But now, why do you care about this stuff? Well, I want to give you some contextual understanding that I have empathy for your experience as a community college student. Some of you don't need to hear this sort of message. Others, maybe you do. But when I was out of high school, I wanted to be a plumber. I have a poster up. I'd show it to you. You see all my dirty laundry over there of my grandfather's plumbing company. It was a big calendar. It's A.F. Korman's Plumbing and Heating and Repair Service, and it's a calendar. And he's got a slogan that says, "Don't be caught between bases." And it shows a baseball player sliding into home. And so my dad became a plumber, and then I was going to become a plumber after high school. I thought that would be the career. I used to help him out on weekends and from time to time doing some plumbing work, and I thought that's what I would be. And so the methodology that my father thought I needed to take to become a plumber, I'd go to this apprenticeship program through the Plumbers Union, but I was too young at the time. Not because I was smart when I got out of high school. I was an average everyday guy. But my age, the way it fell, I was only 17 when I graduated. In order to become an apprentice in the union, you had to be 18. And so I had to wait a full year. So my dad says, hey, why don't you go down to Springfield Technical Community College, right down the road from where I grew up in Springfield, and take some college classes. He was a big believer in education. Education, regardless of what you study, will help you in life. So go sign up and take some classes. So I signed up for general studies literally the day before classes started. And I thought I was very wise by picking all my classes for Tuesdays and Thursdays because they let me fill out my own schedule. And I was taking general studies, so I had a broad array of classes I could pick. And I said, you mean I don't have to be here every day of the week? I can just come here Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I did, and I was there from 8 o'clock until 4:30 every Tuesday and Thursday, and I was exhausted when I left campus. Took sociology, psychology, anthropology, English Comp 1, and a math class. And initially I was excited, like maybe many of you feel right now, but I also felt very much alone. I didn't have any friends at the community college I was going with. I didn't know anybody that went there, at least not at that time. I felt very, very alone. It sounds corny, but I did. I felt very alone and very isolated and very much disillusioned as to how any of these classes, other than math, would benefit me as a plumber. Work with my dad someday. And as the semester went, I was doing okay. Still didn't feel like I belonged. I'm very shy by nature. I know videos suggest otherwise. I'm not. I'm very shy. So I was keeping to myself. I didn't participate in a lot of class, and I just didn't get why this material was going to be important to me. And sometimes when we took quizzes, and I was doing okay, I found some of the material didn't necessarily relate so well to the lectures that were given in class or the textbook material. So I was getting a little bit more and more dissatisfied with my decision to go to community college. And then it hit specifically. It was right before Thanksgiving or somewhere nearabouts there. I remember taking a test in anthropology, whatever that is. And I remember studying really, really hard for it. I think it was a midterm, perhaps, a fairly weighty test. And I studied, and never missed a class to that point. And I took it, and I remember getting the test back, and I got a passing grade, like a 75 or something like that. But I was confident when I took the test that I was going to do very well. But I do remember a whole section of it that, boy, did it seem like it was not in any lecture, and it wasn't in the book anywhere. The faculty member said, hey, we're going to break a little early today, and if you want to come up and speak about your test grades with me, I'm available right here. So it took a lot of courage for me, being shy, to do that, but I did. I went up and I got in line, and as I approached the professor, she took my exam and looked through it. She goes, oh, you got this section here, we're pretty much completely wrong. I said, yeah, I just don't remember reading about those concepts and principles anywhere in the textbook. I don't remember the lectures. She goes, those came from the supplemental readings that were in the syllabus. And I had my syllabus in my 3-ring binder, a little nerdy, and I pulled it right up and I said, those are recommended readings, defensively. I wasn't trying to challenge her. It's not my personality. Oh, maybe it is now as an attorney, but not then. And she goes, and she made a joke of it, made the students that were standing there laugh, and humiliated me greatly. I never forgot it. She said, next time a professor makes a recommendation, perhaps you should follow it. You'll do much better. And then she realized she probably made a very offensive joke. And then she was a little bit kinder and said, hey, next time, try to get those books, read through them, because I will put them on the exam. And I kind of just said, oh, I wish I'd known. I apologize for not being as serious a student as I should. And she goes, oh, no, you'll do better. You're doing well in the class overall. So I left completely disheartened. The next class I had was sociology. And that professor I kind of liked, doing a great job. But we had a paper due. I had never written a paper up until that point. Not much in high school anyways. I knew what a bibliography was, but I don't think I ever produced one, at least not a quality one that I can remember at all during my high school experience. Didn't go through a really great high school out in Springfield. And he said, hey, the rough drafts are due in 2 weeks. And it was a topic, just like I give you guys in many of my classes, a topic of your choice related to the course. And I don't know, it had to be 5 or 10 pages, whatever it was. And it had to be an MLA format. I didn't even know what MLA format was yet. We didn't cover that yet in English Comp 1. I was very intimidated. And he didn't give us what I call, a rubric or an outline of what was expected of that. And I didn't know if it was going to be like an argumentative paper. Was it a descriptive paper? Was it an informative paper? And I didn't know even what those things were. So I left there that day just feeling lost. That was a Thursday afternoon. And I remember waking up the next morning, Friday morning. Didn't have to go to campus, so that was great. But with the worst sore throat I think ever in my life, I got the flu. And I felt terrible. And I was so sick, I didn't go to class the entire next week. And this is before email. So I didn't have a chance to email any of my professors, let them know I'm sick. I don't know if I would have anyways. And I missed an entire week of classes, and I felt very, very scared to go back. I felt I lost so much information, was so far behind that I was likely going to do poorly in all my classes, which probably wouldn't be true at all. And I can remember as I was getting ready to go back to school the following Tuesday, after a week off, it was that Friday or Saturday, I got the mail, some mail from Springfield Technical Community College, and one of them was reminding me to sign up for classes in the spring. But also, it was the warning about if you wanted to withdraw from classes for the semester we're currently in, you had to do so by a date just before Thanksgiving. It's in order to avoid getting a grade on your transcript. You just get what would be a W. I actually have my transcripts right over here. And so when Monday morning came around, I was feeling pretty low and it felt like I wasn't college material. I wasn't smart enough. I wasn't good enough. And I was clearly floundering. It wasn't for me. So I went down there. I went to the registrar's office in person that Monday, the very last day you could do it. And I withdrew from all my classes. And boy, did I feel good. It felt great. So I left. Not smart enough for college. I have a different kind of brain. I'm a plumber's son. I'm going to be a plumber. I was feeling good. And I was cranking up my AM radio in my Ford Galaxy 500, which lost 50% of its body weight because it was flaking apart from rust. Grew up in a very modest family. We really had these junky cars. But I remember driving home feeling good as I'm blowing smoke out of the back of my car because it had burned as much oil as it did gas. But I'm feeling good that day. Then comes Thanksgiving break, and I didn't tell my parents I withdrew. I started feeling a little bit, shamed, a little guilty about it. I was very close to my parents. So I didn't tell them anything. And it was at Thanksgiving. I think my aunts and uncles, they stopped over for a drink after because they all lived in the neighborhood. They was coming by, and I remember my aunt saying, "Hey, Jim, how's college going? How do you like it over there at Springfield Technical College?" And I'm like, yeah, things are going great. And I guess just the way I said it, my father picked something up because after all the relatives and friends went, and it's quiet time, and I'm out there in the kitchen sitting with my dad, and he said, "Hey, what's going on with school?" And then I told him. And I remember him saying, I basically said, "Hey, school's not for me. I'm not a college material. I'm a working class kid, and I want to be a plumber, and this is just wasting time." And he didn't yell at me or anything like that. He was actually very supportive, but he was supportive in a sort of a melancholy way when he said, all right, that's what you think's best. But I could sense a real, genuine concern for me that I maybe made the wrong decision. And I don't know if it's still the experience that many of you have, but Thanksgiving break is when people come home from college or they get together, even if they're just working in the community. It's just a time for kind of friends to get back together. And I remember some of them were college friends, some of them work in the industry. We're all getting back together, and I'm stopping over everybody's houses and stuff, and all the questions are the same. How's it going over at Stick? And I told them, and I always feel like I had to justify them. I quit. It wasn't for me. It was a waste of time. Stick. It's community college. And most of my friends were okay with it, just kind of fine, they accept it. But a couple of my closer friends, you could feel that they were like disappointed for me, and it started eating away at me a bit. And it ate away at me very, very significantly. I lost a lot of confidence in who I thought of as myself, as having a certain degree of intellect or intelligence or ability. I really hit a low point, and I can remember really stewing in my own disappointment and really almost a sense of shame. Here I am. I dropped out of college, and the college I dropped out of was a community college. And those of you that have any stigma about a community college will understand that. And that'd be for a later day if you want to talk about that. No, I'll talk about it today, actually. I know I'm going long. Hopefully, you're drinking a coffee, watching TV at the same time, picking up a few nuggets of who I am. And I wasn't working either. I didn't have a part-time job at that juncture either. So I was just moping around the house, making my father miserable, my mother too. But I can remember getting another thing from STIC, Springfield Technical Community College. It was a flyer for the mini May semesters or March semesters, whatever they had. They have at the Mount too. They have at most colleges these sort of accelerated courses. I think they're 7 or 7.5 weeks, and they were mostly at night. And And I remember taking a look at it, and I was thumbing through it, and I just said, I got to get out of this rut. I got to go back and take one class. And I did. I took English Comp at night, and I think it was 2 nights a week. It was just the one class I took. And I know somebody said, "Oh, here's the Rocky story. He picked himself up by his bootstrap, and he went back, and he went on to law school and got a doctorate and all that kind of crap." No, every night I went, I was so stressed out, and I wanted to quit, and I kept questioning why I went back, and it was very, very difficult for me. Very good teacher, very supportive, and I worked really, really hard, and I'm not sure if I got a B or a B minus. Actually, the lowest grade, other than the W's that I got while I was at Springfield Technical College. But she was a constant source of encouragement. I slugged my way through that class, and I finished it. And when I got that grade, I was really proud of it, even though it was a B minus or B. I was really, really, really happy. I felt I learned an awful lot about how to write and create sentence structure and paragraphs and communicate well in written form. It was a great class. And so because I liked her so much, I came back in the fall full time, and I purposely sought her out. So I took regular 4 classes during a regular schedule, spread out all 5 days of the week. And I took a night class with her because I felt safe with her, emotionally, psychologically, things like that. And I don't want you to think, and so the rest is history. I spent 3 years at STIC, Springfield Technical College. I took 1 year of general studies, and then I transferred into the criminal justice program, not because I wanted to be a police officer, even then not knowing that I wanted to be a lawyer. I liked it because I had a lot of history and read a lot of case law from the Supreme Court, and that was the thing they had that somebody argued to me was the most akin to a history degree, and I don't regret it. I liked it very much. So it does sound to me a bit like, wow, here's a guy that fell down, got up, and he overcame a lot of odds. What I really want to note is that those feelings of anxiety and those feelings of self-doubt never really left me entirely. Part of it is because of the reputation that community college seems to sometimes have, that it's not the high bar. It's not a challenging environment. Nothing can be further from the truth, at least not with me and not with most professors, I think, at Mount Wachusett Community College, and I think not with Springfield Technical Community College all the way back in the 1980s. And here's why I know. Because after I graduated from Springfield Tech, I went on to UMass and Springfield College. I kind of kept transferring back and forth between the two of them. And I was very fearful that I was at these other institutions that had reputations. One's a university. Well, now both are universities. But, am I going to flounder there? Am I going to be able to cut it there? Am I coming in from a junior college or community college where, arguably, at least the perception is it's not as good? Nothing to be further from the truth. I did just as well at Springfield College, UMass, Worcester State for the master's degree, and then my Juris Doctorate at Western New England University, all of which I did just as well, actually, if not better, in terms of grades than I did at Springfield Technical Community College. So why am I telling you all this spiel? I don't want it to come across braggy, because it's not braggy at all. The point is I'm really just a regular guy. And you people out there that have either not been a great student in high school, maybe you've actually dropped out of college yourself in the past and you're coming back. If you just take the cues to seek help, to follow the rhythm and the pattern and the due dates that are required of your classes, and seek help when and if you have material that you don't understand, or project or assignment that you don't understand, or seek academic support for some reason. Like some of you might be in legal studies, and I know a lot of my students who do brilliant through all the law classes, and then they get to statistics, the one math class they have to take, and they can't get through it. And I always tell them, go down to the academic support center and get a math tutor. I don't want to do that. Why not? If your teacher isn't explaining it to you too well, maybe a tutor will do it better. And maybe through that one-on-one experience, you will learn the material. Who cares how you get there? Learn it. Be successful. Get the grades. And the one thing I do want to note is maybe college isn't for you. Maybe you're going to find that the experience isn't panning out. I urge you to finish the semester. Why? What's the worst that's going to happen? You're already here. Chances are by the time you make the decision that maybe it's not for you, you're probably going to be pretty knee deep into the semester. Finish it out. You'll be surprised how well you do. And even if you decide not to come back in a later semester, you've gotten some credit hours. Why do I say? I've met so many people that go back to school and they have wish they had finished a semester and killed that English Comp 1, that Business Law 1, that Family Law class, because it would have been part of their transcript. And most classes last on your transcript in terms of viability for many, many years, if not decades. So it's not always true on all classes, but I really urge you to stick it out. And I want you to know that I have empathy for you. I really want you to succeed. Why? Oh, that's how Korman keeps his job. If his students do well, he does well. I don't get any bonus by students doing well. I have tenure. I'm going to get paid whether or not all my students flunk or pass. It is part of my ego. I want my students to do well, to be a reflection upon maybe I'm doing all right in terms of the way I structure class. But it's more that I want you to understand that I've had that experience of not doing well, and that it can be soul crushing. And I want you to know you have a supportive person at the moment. And I think for the great majority of people that work at that college, and in every college probably, they really want you to succeed, just out of a genuineness of knowing that if you have the ability to sign up for classes, you have the ability to succeed in them. You just have to have the pugnaciousness of finishing through when you have all the other things in life that are facing you that are going to maybe make you question whether or not staying in school is appropriate for you. Don't ever be afraid to reach out and ask questions about the material. Don't ever be afraid to reach out if you have family emergencies or work emergencies, and maybe a deadline is in conflict with that. I know I'll work with you. I don't speak for other professors, but I think the great majority of them have a certain degree of compassion. Some are very, very strict about deadlines, and that's part of life. But know your deadlines. If your deadlines, like most of mine, are Sunday nights at midnight, don't say, okay, I'm going to get it done for Sunday night at midnight, and that's when I'm going to do all the work, and I'll get it done. I'll start at, 9 o'clock at night, and I'll get it done for midnight. Try to keep a window of time where you can work on it before then, and that way, if things do come up, you have a cushion, especially for those professors that when they say deadline, they mean deadline, and there are some. There's argument, there's some learning experience there by having to meet time commitments. I know when I go to court and I have to file a motion by a certain date, I can't say, well, I'll do it that I have done it at the very last day. But what if something came up with my kids or my wife or my dogs or something? I would have regretted not trying to do it sooner. So try to take some time management opportunities and not procrastinate and get this stuff done. Procrastination tends to fester, and I think it festers psychologically in you if you're going to let things, sit on the back burner for too long, and then you got multiple courses, multiple life obligations, and then it gets depressing and you're not going to like the course. All I can do is encourage you to look at the videos, not necessarily the videos I post. I post little lectures and stuff. They're okay. But I post videos of professional presenters on many different topics, but I also put up other articles that augment the books, and almost all not all, but many of my classes take advantage of them. If I don't put up other supplemental materials, it's because I think the book really does the job. I know some of you are in family law, for example. That book is very, very dense, very thick with information. But by golly, if you, it sounds kind of golly, let me use that word. But my God, if you read that book and reread the material, it's so voluminous and so well put together that you will understand the concepts extremely, extremely well. It's just a fantastic book. Other books I find sometimes wanting, and I augment it with articles and YouTube videos. And I almost always put up my own little lecture thoughts about each semester. Maybe you know me now a little bit. I don't know. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't like me. Maybe you do. I don't know. It's not about popularity. It's about knowing that, Korman does want you to succeed, and Korman will help you through the process. And I'm not kidding. I always thought this was a funny statement when I was in school. There's no such thing as a dumb question. That's a beautiful, that is my mantra, because you'd be surprised how one student last semester, for example, very strong student, very good student, took advantage of the Mounts tuition, transferred to a very prestigious college. Smart move. And she was one of my best students. And I always remember her finally reaching out an email and says, geez, I feel terrible. Little mini quiz I gave, I think it's U.S. History 1 or 2. And she goes, I got 7, 8 wrong, and I feel, can we talk about it? So I go into her test. I look at it. She actually had 7, 8, and 9. They were multiple choice, simple questions. She had them all right. But my rush to put that test up there, I had the entered the answer key into Blackboard, and so it was my error. So don't be afraid ever to say, hey, I got number 17 wrong in such and such a test, or you gave me 7 out of 10 on the essay portion of one of the essay questions. And I see your model answer, Jim, but I still don't understand why I got points off. Let's talk about it. It's about learning this material in the end. And sometimes if you convince me, if we go over like a multiple choice question you got wrong, and then when we discuss it, you clearly understood the concepts, you just misunderstood the nature of the wording in such a way that you pick the wrong conclusion. I'll give you partial credit on that, just going through that dialogue with me, because it's not about testing. It's about when I see you guys walk across the stage, and I know you took my business law class or my history of the Constitution class, and you did okay, and you passed. I know you know the core competencies pretty well, and that's going to make me feel much better, and it's going to make you feel better too, because we want to set a high bar. We want to do well in the course. We don't want to dumb it down. But when you're not doing well, you want to understand why you're not doing well, and you want to learn that material, and we'll get you through it with a better grade if we can have some discussion and you can show me you understand the material that much better. I went on and on. I know if somebody sends me a video from YouTube, hopefully usually something humorous, but if I see it's more than 2 minutes, I don't usually watch it. Here I put up a 26-minute or 27-minute introductory, but I do want you to get a feel for who I am and give you some question, comfort level in the course. My mantra on the physical campus was you should be safe in your body, your mind, and in your spirit when you're in the classroom, that you can participate freely and actively without fear of ridicule, without self-doubt, without necessarily being right, without facing some kind of dire consequence. It's about learning. If you knew everything already, you don't belong here. So don't be afraid to start off being very ignorant of any of the topics, and don't be afraid not to understand initially, because that's why you're here, and I'm here to help. Otherwise, I went on way too long. I'm going to take a sip of coffee. I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to put it up on the thing. I don't ask for feedback on this because I know what students do. They're going to feel, hey, I love that introductory video. It made me feel really good. Thank you for putting it up. You don't have to give me any feedback, but I do want you to go into the introduction, into discussion board introduction, write a sentence or two. You don't have to put up a video. You don't have to tell me too much. Some people are very private, and I understand that. But just tell me why in the course. Hey, I'm in early childhood education, and making me take American political science and government, so I have to take it. Totally fine by me. But if you have a certain interest in a course and why you're in there, and what basically your background and story is, don't be afraid to share it, because your cohorts want to get a sense of who you are too in the classroom. That's ungraded. I'm not going to grade for grammar or anything. No. Just tell me who you are, why you're there, and all that kind of good stuff. Otherwise, be well. Don't be afraid to reach out with any questions or concerns. My cell phone number is on the syllabus. My email is on the syllabus. My cell phone number is my business number, my school number too, because all these classes are remote, so you're not going to get them out. You're going to have to probably get me through my cell phone if you want to talk. So other than that, enjoy the day.